I am making a Horus Sacred Beast deck profile. I'm just trying to play different engines in the Sacred Beast deck just to see what does and doesn't work. And Horus to me just seems like a really fun idea. So I figured why not try it, and the deck, both engines like to discard, and so I figured why not. And I'll say it now, the reason there's been so many different variations of Sacred Beast is because I really enjoy the Sacred Beast deck. So, starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Martyr of the Sacred Beast. Martyr of the Sacred Beast has the effect of this card's normal or special summoned. You can take a Sacred Beast continuous spell, continuous trap, or field spell from your deck and place it face up on your field. Then, if you control a Sacred Beast, and then it has another effect, if you control a Sacred Beast monster other than Martyr, then you can summon up to 2 more Martyrs from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And then its last effect is during your opponent's end phase, if this card's in your graveyard and you have a level 10, or Sacred Beast whose original level is 10 in your graveyard, then you can return this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Martyr once per turn. I'll say it now, I'm fairly certain that all of these Sacred Beast effects in this deck are hard once per turns, with one exception, and that's just because its effect reads thrice per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Summoner of the Sacred Beast. Summoner of the Sacred Beast has 3 effects, 1 on hand, 1 on field, and 1 engrave. Its effect in hand is you can reveal it in your hand for cost, to then discard a card, and if you do, you can summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand in defense mode, and all of its effects let you summon a Sacred Beast that is not level 8. Meaning you cannot summon itself. But summoning Martyr or the other 3, perfectly acceptable. The only downside of this card is it does have to summon in defense mode, so if you want to summon one of the big ones, it has to be in defense. But Summoner's effect on field is you can discard 1 card for cost, to then be able to summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard. And then its last effect in the graveyard lets you banish it to be able to summon a Sacred Beast from your graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of an honorary Sacred Beast. Just 3 copies of Farah, the Primordial Goddess. As this card is technically part of a 2-card starter hand, which is basically, I'll just explain what it does. You reveal this card and a spell card in your hand to make it so that for the rest of this turn, your opponent can activate cards or effects in response to the revealed spell card, or its effects. And then it has the effect of this card sent to the graveyard by the effect of a spell or trap, then you can special summon this card. And then if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can then take control of the strongest monster your opponent controls, your choice if it's a tie. And usually what this card you'll reveal with this card is Sacred Beasts released. So it makes it so that your opponent cannot activate anything in response to your Graceful Charity, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Then I play 2 copies of Inferno the Sacred Beast, Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. Each of the Sacred Beast monsters share the effect if you can add a Sacred Beast card of a specific type, monster, spell, or trap, and then discard 1 card. Uriah lets you add a Sacred Beast trap, and then Uriah also gains 1,000 attack for every trap card in the graveyard, and as a once per turn, once you target a spell trap on the field, destroy it, and neither player can activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. Also, as pointed out to me one day, I still think it's hilarious that the Sacred Beast retrains. Their art is just how they are. It's just the pose they're in at the end of their summoning animations and Duel Links. Next, I play 3 copies of Calamity of the Sacred Beast, Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder. Haman has the effect of lets you add a Sacred Beast spell and discard a card. Haman has the mandatory effect if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, Then your opponent takes 1,000 damage once per turn. And then its final effect is if Hamon is destroyed, then you can activate its effect so that until the end of the turn, you can't take any damage. Next, I play 3 copies of Infinity of the Sacred Beasts, Raviel, Lord of Phantasms. Raviel has the effect of letting you add a Sacred Beast monster, then discard a card. Raviel then only has one effect, which is a once per turn you contribute 2 other Sacred Beast monsters you control to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, and for each monster destroyed, Raviel gains 1,000 attack. Surprisingly, out of all the Sacred Beast effects, that's the one I use the least. The one I use the most is actually Uriah's Mystical Space Typhoon effect. But moving on to the Horus monsters, I play 1 copy of Duamatef, Blessing of Horus, 1 copy of Happy, Guidance of Horus, and 1 copy of Kebasenuef, Protection of Horus. All of these monsters have the effect, if you control King Sarcophagus, you can summon this card from your graveyard. You can only summon each of them once per turn that way. And then if a card leaves your field because of an opponent's card, then they each have their own special effects that will activate. And then Duamatef has another unique effect where it gains, what was it? I forget how much it was. 1,200 attack for each Horus monster you control. But Happy will let you target 2 cards in your graveyard or banish and return them to the owner's hand. Kebasenuef is the most useless of them all, I'll be honest about that, as it makes so your Horus monsters cannot be targeted for attacks, nor can they be destroyed by card effect, I believe it was. Let's see, your opponent cannot target Horus monsters for attack, nor can they target Horus okay, your opponent cannot target Horus monsters for attacks or with card effects, that's what it was. And then Duamatef, I feel like, is the either best or second best. Whichever one it isn't, the next one is. But Duamatef will let you draw 1 card from your deck for each different monster. Yeah, for every monster in your main monster zones with different names. So if your opponent gets rid of one of your extra deck your extra monster zone thing, but you have 5 different monsters in your monster zones, Duamatef will let you draw 5 cards. Which I think is hilarious. But I think when I chain their effects, it's usually going to be 1, 2, 3. Basically, whatever the Horus chain link order is, this one's always going to be last because it's the worst. Next, to finish off the Horus monsters, I play 3 copies of Imseti, Glory of Horus. Imseti has the effect if you can discard this card and 1 other card in your hand to be able to add King Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand. And then its effect when a card leaves the field lets you, non-target send a monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. Let's see, what was it? Okay, it sends 1 card on the field to the graveyard. And then I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but when it adds King Sarcophagus, you also get to draw 1 card. One thing I really like about this card, though, is that it is a dark monster. So if you're using the virus cards, you can actually just use Imseti. When I say virus cards, I mean Deck Devastation Virus, Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Any of the viruses that require you to tribute a dark monster with 2,500 or more attack. But like I said, Imseti is either the best or the second best, depending on your viewpoint of Duamatef. Anyway, moving on with the monsters. To finish off the monsters, I play 3 copies of Perulia and 3 copies of Fuwalos. Both of these monsters can only be used while you control no cards, but I'm also using them in this deck as 3 ofs because they're discard fodder if you're going first. But they can only be activated while you control no cards, and then when your opponent summons from a specific place, then you get to draw 1 card. Where Perulia will let you draw when your opponent normal or special summons from the hand, and then Fuwalos will let you draw when your opponent special summons from deck or extra deck. You can only use 2 Moltarmi effects per turn, and then during the end phase, if you have more cards in your hand than your opponent controls, +6, so your opponent ends their turn with 2 cards, but you have 10 cards in hand, then you have to randomly shuffle 2 cards from your hand back into the deck. Most of the time, though, that doesn't happen, so you don't really have to worry about it. The only time it actually comes up is if your opponent just does not care and they want to build their end board. For these spell cards, I play 1 copy of the Gaze of Timaeus, because Farah the Primordial Goddess just happens to be a level 8 Dark Spellcaster. This card lets you target a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl that's on your field or on your graveyard. Excuse me. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions that monster's material by shuffling it into the deck as material. This is treated as a fusion summon. Fusion summon with the Eye of Timaeus, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only activate 1 the Gaze of Timaeus per turn. Next, I play 2 copies of Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beasts. Fallen Paradise is the one card I was talking about that has a effect that is thrice per turn. Where thrice per turn, you can send 3 cards of the same type, monster, spell, or trap, from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, to then summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and any monster summoned off this effect is unaffected by your opponent's spell and trap cards. Then, it has the once per turn effect. If you control a Sacred Beast monster whose original level is 10, then you can draw 2 cards. Next, for a starter, I play 3 copies of Card of the Soul. Card of the Soul lets you add a monster from your deck to your hand that has attack points, has a combined attack and defense equaling your life points. So if you're going first and you haven't taken any damage, this will let you add either Haman or Raviel, both of which are starters for this deck. After that, it's kind of a bit trickier to know if you can actually use it or not. But usually if your life points aren't 8,000 and you see this card, it's going to be discarded. And they can only activate 1 card of the soul per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Sacred Beast Thunderclap. Sacred Beast Thunderclap has the effect of, during your main phase, you can place 2 more Sacred Beast Thunderclaps from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone. Then you can reveal a level 10 Sacred Beast monster from your hand to then be able to place the Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beast face up from your deck. And then during your end phase, or during your opponent's end phase, my bad, then you can add this card from your graveyard back to the hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Sacred Beasts Released. Sacred Beasts Released has the effect of letting you add 3 different Sacred Beast monsters from your deck to your hand, and then you discard 2 cards. Hence why it's Graceful Charity. As Graceful Charity was draw 3 cards and then discard 2. But Sacred Beast Release also has the graveyard effect of if this card's in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card from your graveyard to then be able to add a level 10 Fiend, Pyro, or Thunder monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand. I checked to see how many targets there were for this card that can search. I believe the total was 10. 6 of which being the Sacred Beasts. 1 monster was a Ritual, another was Anubis the Last Judge, and I can't remember the last 2 off the top of my head. And next, to finish off the spells, I play 3 copies of King Sarcophagus. King Sarcophagus has the effect of your Horus monsters are unaffected. Horus monsters you control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects that do not specifically target them. And then you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can use this effect of King Sarcophagus up to 4 times per turn. Then once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send that opponent's monster to the graveyard. For the traps, I play 1 copy of Sacred Beast Combined Assault. Sacred Beast Combined Assault has the effect of letting you target... I think it targets. It does not target. You special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then, if you have 2 or more Sacred Beast monsters on the field whose original levels were 10, you can negate the effect of 1 card on the field. And then it has the graveyard effect of being able to fusion summon a phantasmal fusion monster from your extra deck by using monsters from your hand or field material. And then lastly, I play 3 copies of Abyss of the Sacred Beasts. Abyss of the Sacred Beasts has the effect of you can send 3 face-up Abyss of the Sacred Beasts you control to the graveyard, including this card. Then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Change it to face-down defense position. You can only use this effect of Abyss of the Sacred Beasts once per turn. And then once per turn, you can activate its effect to place 2 Abyss of the Sacred Beasts from your hand, field, or from your hand, graveyard, or deck face up. And then during your opponent's end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. And that is it for the main deck. The only thing I might change is I might add 2 copies of Canopic Protector from you to the deck. Canopic Protector has the effect of when your opponent activates a card or effect. But it has the effect of being able to summon Horus monsters back from your graveyard. You cannot... let's see. I forget how it works. But it is this card that I was considering playing 2 copies of in the deck. Which is once per chain, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon 1 Horus monster from your hand or graveyard. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot summon monsters with that same original name by the effect of Canopic Protector. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Canopic Protector once per turn. The main reason I was thinking about putting this deck is just because if it's in the hand, then it's a free discard. But outside of that, it just also lets you fill your field with more Horus monsters after they go to the graveyard. But like I said, at worst, it's a free discard. Anyway, for the extra deck, I play 1 copy of IP Masquerena. This card lets you link summon during your opponent's main phase using this card as material. And then a link monster that's link summoned using this card as material cannot be destroyed by opponent's monster effects. Next, I play 1 copy of Reproducus. Reproducus lets you change the type or actually a monster points to once per turn. Which ordinarily you'll have it target your Fiend, change it to a light monster so you can use that as material to summon Fiendsmith's Sequence. Sequence has the effect of once per turn you fusion summon a Fiend fusion monster by returning materials from your graveyard back to the deck. And what do you know? The deck's boss monster just happens to be a Fiend. Then to finish off the links, I play 1 copy of SP Little Knight. This card lets you, has the effect, if it's fusion summoned, if this card is link summoned, I don't know why it said fusion. But if it's link summoned using a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster, you can target 1 card on the field or in the graveyard and banish it. But if you use that effect, you cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn. Then it has the effect, if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can activate Little Knight's effect in response, letting you target 2 monsters on the field, at least 1 being a monster you control, and banish them until the end phase. You can use each effect Little Knight once per turn. Next, for the rank 8s, I play 1 copy of Photon Lord. This card is a monster negate. 1 copy of Coach King Giant Trainer. Giant Trainer has the effect of thrice per turn, you can detach 1 material, draw a card, then if it was a monster, your opponent takes 800 points of damage. But if you use Giant Trainer's effect, you can't conduct your battle phase that turn. Alright. And then I play 1 copy of Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. This is a spell negate, and then it attaches the said spell to its material. And then when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach a material from this card to redeclare the attack on itself. So if your opponent tries to attack over Thunder Dragon Colossus, you can have Hope Harbinger redirect the attack to itself. Then I play 1 copy of number 1 Infection Buzz King. This is honestly one of my favorite cards to use with the Horus deck. Or Horus engine, I mean. As when it succeeds summoned, you get to look at your opponent's extra deck and send a monster to the graveyard. I've been talking too much. And then once per turn, you can detach material, target a card your opponent controls, and destroy it. Then if it was a monster, your opponent takes damage equal to half its original attack, I believe. Destroy it, then if it was a monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack it had on field. That's what it was. I knew I got something wrong with that initially. And its final effect is during your standby phase, you can take one card from your opponent's graveyard and attach it to this card as material. And to finish off the rank 8s, I play one copy of the Zombie Vampire. This card has the effect that it and monsters you control summoned from the graveyard cannot be targeted by card effects. And then the Zombie Vampire has the effect of letting... You can also XZ summon it by using a monster your opponent owns that you control that has a level. So if you activate Change of Heart, Triple Tactics Talent, Snatch Steal, as long as there's a monster you control that your opponent owns with a level, then you can use that as level 8. Lastly, the Zombie Vampire has the effect of you can detach material. Both players send the top 5 cards of their deck to the graveyard, and then you can summon one monster from those 10 cards. And to finish off the Xyz monsters, I play one copy of Verudris, the Final Bringer of the End Times. Verudris has the effect of once per turn, your opponent activates a card or effect. You can detach a material from this card to negate that effect. Then you can detach another material to then destroy that card. If Verudris declares an attack while it has material, then you can target one card in the field and destroy it. And if this Xyz summon card you control is destroyed by your opponent, then you can destroy one card in the field. For the fusion monsters, I play one copy of Thunder Dragon Colossus. Colossus needs to either be fusion summoned or special summoned by attributing a thunder monster you control during the turn in which you've activated the effect of a thunder monster from your hand. But while it's on the field, your opponent cannot add cards from the deck to the hand except by drawing them. And then if Colossus be destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can then you can banish a thunder monster from your graveyard instead. Although I'll say it now, part of me is considering putting a second Colossus in the deck, just because one person at my locals plays Fairy Tail, and his solution is to just summon Fairy Tail Luna, use its effect, target Colossus, and then I just send Colossus to the graveyard, or back to my extra deck, unless I send another Colossus from the extra deck to the graveyard. Which, if I were to do that, I'd probably take out the Zombie Vampire. Next, I play one copy of Dark Mission Instruction. This card must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from the extra deck. During the turn, a spell card or effect is activated by banishing one level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster monster you control. Whose material. You can only special summon Dark Mission Instruction once per turn. Its name becomes Dark Mission while on the field or in the graveyard. And then while this card is on the field... Nope, never mind. That's part of its other effect. If this card is special summoned, you can add one Dark Mission or one card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. Next, I play one copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. This card is literally just on off the Gaze of Timaeus by putting Dark Mission Destruction back in your extra deck. But Dragoon cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Dragoon also has a once per turn, when you activates a card or effect, you can discard a card, destroy it, and if it destroyed the card, then Dragoon gains an additional 1,000 attack points. And to finish off the extra deck, I play two copies of the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beasts. The reason I'm playing two of this card, besides Fairy Tail Luna running around, is just because it has a soft thrice per turn effect, which is up to thrice per turn, once per chain. The Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beasts can target one monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, then gain life points equal to half its attack on the field. And then twice per turn, the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beasts cannot be destroyed by card effects. So, decks like Blitzclick would have to destroy it 3 times in order to get rid of it. Which makes me sad because I really wish this card had better protection other than twice per turn it can't be destroyed by card effects. I really wish it had something like can't be targeted or can't be destroyed by card effects. At least make it so it can't be targeted would be a lot better, but oh well. But that is it for my Horus Sacred Beast deck profile. If you have any ideas that decks like to see made in the future, decks like to see face each other, or any ideas to improve the deck, feel free to comment down below. I always read all the comments and try out any suggestions. And if you're still here, thanks for watching.